You know how we all just click agree on those terms and conditions without ever reading them? Well, what if the most important contract, the one for your job, your home, your whole sense of stability, had a hidden clause you never even saw? We're about to jump into a story that shows exactly what happens when that clause is finally put into action.
Our story kicks off with a piece of advice that sounds so simple, but it's actually the key to this whole thing. It's a warning we all get in one way or another, and one we almost always choose to ignore, often until it's too late.
Okay, so picture this, a thriving community, a bustling little ecosystem all centered around one single massive tree. On the surface, it looks like a picture of perfect stability. But underneath this idyllic scene, the entire system is built on a very shaky foundation. It's all on rent. The whole social structure is basically a simple rental agreement. You've got the beaver, and he's the landlord, collecting rent from every single creature living in that tree. It seems like a clean, established system, right? But notice how all the power is concentrated with just one figure, the beaver.
And here is the core deception, the real twist. The beaver, the supposed landlord, has zero actual claim to the tree. His authority comes from one single, powerful threat. Pay your rent, or I will literally destroy the home you live in. So this isn't a system of ownership. It's a system built on pure coercion.
What's really fascinating here is how quickly this shaky setup just became normal. The residents completely forgot the beaver wasn't the real owner. They settled right in. They started decorating, putting up little doors. They even created an address system. They built a whole life, treating this temporary rented space like it was their forever home. And just like any rental agreement, there was fine print. Of course there was. A single clause buried deep in the terms and conditions that held the key to their entire existence. A clause everyone signed, but nobody bothered to read or understand.
And the clause was just 4 letters, ETIL. No explanation, no one asked any questions, they just signed. And with that one simple act of blind agreement, they handed over all the power to a single, mysterious acronym.
And then, as it so often happens when things feel permanent, an outside force of change shows up. A man just walking through the forest with a totally different vision for the future. A vision that, unfortunately, doesn't include the tree or any of its residents.
His plan is direct and completely indifferent to the little world he's just stumbled upon. He hasn't just bought the tree, he's bought the whole forest. And his goal is to replace what he calls commercially useless trees with a profitable olive orchard. The existing ecosystem, well, it simply doesn't factor into his business plan at all.
I just look at this logic. It's cold, it's pragmatic, and it almost sounds reasonable, doesn't it? A slow, 20-year transition. He figures the animals will just, adapt. And if they don't, they perish. What to do? It's the ultimate shrug of indifference from a system that doesn't see them as residents, but as an obstacle to be managed.
And with that, the illusion of permanence completely shatters. The plan is put into motion, and the residents of the tree are about to finally learn the meaning of that unread clause in their contract.
The moment the machines arrive, the so-called landlord, the beaver, is the first one out the door. He doesn't stay to negotiate. He doesn't try to protect his tenants. He just bolts, leaving everyone else behind to face the music. His authority, which was built on a bluff, was absolutely useless against a real threat.
You can just feel the panic and the betrayal in the owl's question, can't you? It's a desperate plea to the one figure of authority they knew, a figure who is now totally abandoning them. You were our landlord. What are we supposed to do now?
The beaver offers zero sympathy, no apology. His response is a cold deflection right back to the contract, to the fine print. He's basically saying, this isn't my problem. You're the one who agreed to the terms.
And here it is, the big reveal. ETIL. Enjoy till it lasts. It was never a guarantee of stability. It was an explicit warning that their entire world had an expiration date they just never bothered to check.
And this just brilliantly shows the beaver's final lesson. He wasn't just their landlord. He was in the exact same boat. His own dam, something he'd spent 15 years building, was also destroyed. He understood the fundamental rule of this world. His system only worked as long as a bigger, more powerful system didn't show up and notice him.
So this story, it isn't just a fable. It's a really powerful metaphor for our own lives. Because the tree, the beaver, and that hidden ETL clause are all around us, operating in systems we rely on every single day. Think about it. The tree represents any system we mistake for being permanent. Our job, the social media platform our business depends on, our rented home. The beaver is the entity that controls our access, the corporation, the algorithm, the landlord. The man is that inevitable external shock, a recession, a technological shift, a pandemic. And ETIL, that's the hidden risk that it can all disappear overnight.
And let's not forget the animals deeper in the forest. They thought they were smarter, safer, because they were further away from the edge. But they were still part of the same forest, living under the same contract. It was just a false sense of security. Their time was coming too. They were just delaying the inevitable.
And this brings us to the final, critical question. Look at your own life, your career, your investments, your home. What is the fine print you've been ignoring? What unspoken, enjoy till it lasts clause is governing your life right now?